Hi there, my name is Katie and I am a choreographer and director of Made by Katie Green, and we specialise in creating dance projects for museums, galleries, libraries, community centres, heritage sites, schools, all kinds of places where you might not expect to find professional dance performance. We do this because it's a really rich context for source material for choreography and these kinds of projects, but also because it enables us to reach a really wide-ranging audience, including lots of people who have never seen anything like this before. So in this video I'm going to share some top tips with you for working with dance in libraries, but before that I just wanted to tell you a bit about the pieces we've toured most frequently and to just give a bit of a rundown on some of the key things we've found out about our audiences. So the piece that we have toured most extensively is called The Story Detectives, and it was commissioned in 2019 by an organisation called Delight Charity. It follows two characters called Playful and Particular around the library. They journey with the audience and travel into the worlds of different kinds of books, and along the way they work with the audience to find clues which will help them find the answer to the question, what is the most important story? So it's highly interactive and it is a promenade work which takes the audience on a journey around the library space, and it's aimed at 3 to 8 year olds, but in fact everyone enjoys it, everyone is welcome. The other piece that we've toured extensively in libraries is called Seed. Seed is aimed mostly at under 5s, and it's again a two-hander with two dancers who play the roles of Kid and Pinto. They are seedologists, and they take the young audience through the journey of a seed and the life cycle of the seed and the journey of the seasons. And again, it's highly interactive, lots of sensory objects for the audience to play with. Every single member of the audience can get involved in the story, and as I say, it's aimed at slightly younger ones, but we do find that families often attend with older siblings as well, and again everyone loves watching the performance together. And after they've seen the performance, all audience members can plant a seed. So just a few things we found out about our audiences through many years of touring into libraries. A lot of the audience will be hyper-local, and we find about 75% travel less than 5 miles and some considerably less than that. So this is really performance culture on people's doorsteps and in places where they really feel at home, and they quite often will be regular attendees. Because of our marketing, it's not surprising that we mostly have families with children coming to see the shows. We tend to find the age range is mostly between 2 and 7, but it's very common for a family to bring a range of siblings of different ages, and that is important to bear in mind, the whole family being able to watch something together. The audience is ethnically diverse, much more so than in any of the other contexts in which we work. And we do also have a percentage. The last tour we did, it was about 15% of our audiences who had special educational needs. We think it's actually higher because a lot of parents or carers of young people with additional needs don't always stay to complete the survey. But regardless of the statistics, the important thing is to know that there is someone in every single audience, that is our observation, who has an additional need, and that is something that needs to be taken into account when creating work for this context. There will be a proportion of regular library attendees, but we find that there are always usually about 15% who are brand new to the library, and a much larger percentage who are either they've never seen a dance performance before or only rarely. It's usually about 80%, so real potential to engage with an audience who might not have seen live dance in this way before. The majority of our audiences tell us they've come for the performance. It's usually about 85%, but there is that 15% therefore who are incidental audiences. They just happen upon the show and they stay longer than they had intended to in the library because they are drawn into it, and I absolutely love those people who just didn't expect to see something like this and stay with us, and at the end often have the most surprising, the most delighted response to what they've seen. So given the picture the audience data presents of the potential for using dancing libraries to reach brand new audiences, diverse new audiences of people who maybe haven't experienced anything like what you're offering before, what are my top tips for working in these environments? And number one, the big question, why do you want to create working libraries? Really thinking about whether what you're doing is suitable for this environment is I think, the starting place, the most important thing. What I'd suggest to thinking about three things. Will the work draw the audience in? Based on that picture I've built up of a brand new audience who might not be expecting to see something like this, anything you can do to make them feel welcome and to carry them along with you during the performance, making it interactive, giving them opportunities to respond, all of these things, friendliness, some good humour, will all help to encourage your audience to come along with you. Making work that is inclusive is essential. We find the most important part of that is making sure that people know what to expect in advance. And we do through creating social stories which we film and also create as a PDF or hard copy. We print that out to be available on the day, but it's also available as part of any booking information, and people also know how to contact us so they can ask any further questions, so they can really make a good decision about whether this is something that is for them. And then on the day we make ourselves available before the show for people to be able to interact with any props, meet the dancers, so they can hopefully feel comfortable that they know what's coming and that they can anticipate anything that they might find challenging. We also have sensory kits available, ear defenders, make it clear on the day that we can turn the music up and down. Just making things as open and making people as informed as possible about what's coming up can be very helpful. The third thing that makes work really suitable for this context is flexibility. We are very low tech in our setup. We bring battery powered speakers, but otherwise we don't require special lights, dance floor, very quick get in, very quick get out. There are only 3 of us on the road. We just try to create something which is flexible and works within the library environment as it is. We might move some furniture around, always in consultation with the staff, and always putting things back afterwards, so that we try to minimise any potential disruption to a very busy library and a very busy staff team at that library. My top tip number 2 is plan ahead. Increasingly opportunities come up at the moment and a quick turnaround is expected, and sometimes things can come together quickly, but in our experience as a company we would usually be thinking 9 to 12 months in advance when we reach out to libraries, and sometimes it's even more. We usually start with an advocacy event where we share some of what we've been up to with our partners online, and then invite people to express their interest in working with us on our next project. But if you're just getting started with something, then just starting local, even with 1 or 2 libraries who are near where you live, where you can start to build something, will help you to kind of get on the road with developing a new project idea, which could then ultimately escalate and help you to build more contacts. My top tip number 3 is about being prepared and anticipating what your library partners will require from you, and just having it ready, because that can help to build trust and confidence. And I'm thinking about things like risk assessments, having your insurance in order and ready to share, having a kind of briefing sheet that libraries can give to staff on the day of your performances, a letter of agreement, production information, and all of your marketing bits and pieces that are going to help libraries share what you're going to do together. Having all of that ready to go can be really helpful. My top tip number 4 is to think about investing in the collaboration together and just understanding a little bit about what each of the partners is hoping to get from the project. That might be about developing an audience, it might be about staff development, just understanding a little bit about what you're each hoping to get, and then acknowledging and respecting each other's contribution by using each other's logos or just tagging each other on social media can go a long way towards embracing and acknowledging each other's support. And my top tip number 5 is kind of connected to that sort of joined up investment in something, understanding how what you're doing can fit in with other things that are happening at the library can be really helpful. The Universal Library Office calendar is full of things that happen throughout the year, acknowledging and celebrating different events and themes, and if what you're doing can connect in with that. So we've worked a lot as part of the Great Big Green Week with our piece Seed, things like the Summer Reading Challenge or World Book Day. The current year of reading is something we've connected with, but also there might be local events and activities. Some library services do their own version of the Summer Reading Challenge, and libraries are actually brilliant at finding ways of making connections between what you're doing through trails or linked book displays with what they're doing and how they can engage their broader audience. My top tip number 6 is around clear and friendly communication between yourselves as art and library partners. So keeping each other updated, not too often, not bombarding, but making sure, especially if there are any changes, that you stay informed, keep each other informed about what's happening. And that particularly comes into play when you're thinking about how things will work on the day and making each other aware of other things that might be happening in the library space on the day of the performance. My top tip number 7, bringing along everyone with you. And this is geared more towards those people within maybe the library organisation who have booked the project, got it off the ground. It's really important to make sure that everyone within the organisation knows what to expect, to advocate for the project, why it's important, and to make sure everyone is kept up to speed so that everyone knows what to expect on the day of the performance. We try to help this by creating staff briefing sheets, doing site visits, and also we have online opportunities for question and answers from staff, which can be helpful just so that everyone knows what's going on and knows how to communicate about it with the general public. My top tip number 8 is about then thinking about how you will spread the word about the project with the general public and people who you want to come and engage with the project and see what's going on. We use a huge range of different strategies, but some of those which prove most successful are really centred around developing very hyper-local word of mouth and a buzz around the performance, and that can be to do with maybe a few quite dynamic posters. Libraries are visually very busy spaces, but a few posters can help, especially in the areas that you might be using for the performance. But we do find that accessing the library's local email list, Facebook groups, community blogs, local the different kind of local parish newsletters, schools locally to the library, trying to connect with local press and the people, though that audience I described who are sort of living very close to where the library is, how can you connect with them? And really the library will be able to lead on knowing who those people are and reaching out to them and hopefully spreading a bit of interest in what's coming up. And remember that incidental audience, the potential there is for people to join right up until the last minute. How are you going to entice them? How are you going to make them feel welcome right up until the last minute and even during the show? So my final 2 top tips are really linked to professional development. My top tip number 9, commit to continually learning about what you're doing if you're going to work in libraries. If you're just starting out with something, I really recommend just having a go, get some feedback, seek advice from other people, test it out, find out what works, try it again. If you're doing something and it's really working well, then tell other people about it and make sure that you use your findings to invest in planning future projects. And my top tip number 10 is about trust. And trust when working in libraries is absolutely essential. Libraries are essential community hubs, but they are underfunded, lacking resources, have issues with staff, and they are always so many different things that might mean that a project won't necessarily see its way all the way through from an initial idea to the conclusion, which will be out of the hands of the people who really want to make it happen. With the best will in the world, sometimes people do have to withdraw and things don't work out. In investing in a relationship with a library partner, it therefore, the care and the respect that you can use to support that relationship and to support the project to go ahead cannot be understated. And anything that you can do, writing a few paragraphs towards a funding application, or making sure that risk assessment is in place, or creating that template artwork so the library doesn't have to create their own posters for the event, all of these things can really help pave the way for the success of a project, but also it will pave the way for a success in future projects, and also maybe future projects that library will do with another artist. I'm not at all suggesting that the onus for managing that relationship should fall onto the artist, or underestimating the time it takes to hold that. But if you are able to build the trust of your library partners by doing things really well, maybe going that extra mile and making things a little bit easier, it will unlock networks, because libraries will start to talk to each other about what you're doing and advocate for that great work, and you'll start to be able to speak to other people about what you're doing, and it will naturally grow and unlock new opportunities for development of your work. I really hope that this has been useful, and some of these top tips will be helpful along the way. You're very welcome to contact me on Katie, Katie, at madebyKatieGreen.co.uk. If you have any other questions or comments, I'll look forward to hearing from you. And yeah, wish you all the best in your projects and your collaborations working with libraries.